guys, thanks for tuning in. This is Optibotimus coming with another video review. And on today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the new Transformers masterpiece, MP-41, Cybertron Frontline Combat of DINOBOT. Their newest figure in their Beast Wars masterpiece set, and one that a lot of people are really looking forward to because DINOBOT is a fan favorite, and I absolutely love the character. For the box, though, very similar to what we've got before. You got that nice Beast Wars eye in the back. You got images of him in his robot as well as his beast mode. Fairly larger size box than what we've been getting. For comparison, here is Optimus Primals, so you can see there is a big size difference here, and that was something a lot of people were really talking about when they first started seeing images of this, because DINOBOT is a bigger character in the show, so the figure was going to be bigger anyhow, and you can definitely see that kind of represented in the size of the box. You look at the size and everything, you got him holding the golden disc. Other side here has him shooting eye beams, pew pew, lasers and stuff. Upside down, Transformers masterpiece. On the back, we have a whole bunch of stuff. I am not going to translate it this time because that's a lot of extra work that I don't think you guys really care too much for. And then again, you got a nice rundown of all the accessories. But for the package, oh, and then other stuff that you can't read. But like I said, still basically the same type of package that we've gotten with other Masterpiece figures. Nice, heavy, kind of cardboard stock, but obviously is a little bit bigger. But for the packaging on this guy, that's about it. So without further ado, let's get him out here and see how cool he actually is. Alright, so here we have DINOBOT open up and out of his packaging, and as always, he does come with this collector card that says Transformers Beast Wars. It has the eye, nice art there of him, DINOBOT right there. On the back, stuff that you can't read, and then some tech specs on them, which, okay, we get all of these. You also do get the instruction sheet. Now, one thing that's interesting is this instruction sheet feels like it's a lot more involved than other Masterpiece Transformers, or maybe just the pictures are bigger. I mean, these pictures look pretty big on here, so maybe that's what it is. Which I can appreciate that, because this guy is a little bit tricky to transform. When you do it several times, it gets easier. But right out of the package, it's a little bit more complex than I really thought it would be. So kudos to Takara for the engineering marvel that is a DINOBOT Transformer. And the instructions really do highlight that. Now, on the opposite side, I guess I could have left it open. Opposite side has some nice stuff. Well, there you go. No, that's just more on the back here, a bunch of accessories and how you can use them and things of that nature. The back section here has a lot more of the read-up, the bio, a lot of information. You got the 360 views of him, both in robot mode and dino mode, the different accessories, how he can hold them, the different explanations for some other things like his dino beam, his cyber shield, his dino saber, all that kind of stuff, and even the golden disc, which is a nice addition. We'll get into all that here in a bit. So setting this off to the side, and then taking a look at all the other accessories. He gets a bunch. Now, in this little baggie are some little bits. This is his laser eyes. Laser beam. So you have this, which is this nice, clear, translucent plastic that you can kind of see. Nope. Maybe you can kind of see it. Maybe if I stick it, there you go. You can see like the little ridges in there, which I don't have batteries in this, but you can actually light this guy up. I would imagine, let's see, go like that. Or maybe, no, it goes like that. I would imagine those little ridges help to get the light to travel and make the little laser beam thing look pretty cool. And I mean, I'm dropping his face. But you do have that. That's kind of cool. You get some additional little clear bits, which help to hold things. Like, for example, this little clear stand thing. You can open this just like that, and you can take the golden disc, and you can put it there, which... that's cool. I actually kind of like that. I also really like the golden disc, and while I have it out there, let's take a look at it. This is actually a historically sort of thing that existed in, like, real life. On, I forgot which satellite or whatever that we sent up in outer space, we actually included this, which had some, what we consider universally accepted things like music and numbers and things of that nature. This specifically says, it says the sounds of Earth right on there, and then you got all these different sort of equations and things. Now in this here, I'm not going to spoil it for you guys, but there's a secret message that's on here, and Dinobot, Megatron know about it, and it's cool that they include this. It kind of is a dual purpose accessory. You can use it here for Dinobot, you can also use it for the Megatron that's going to be coming out, so that's kind of cool. And then, like I said, a little display stand, so bam. Why not? You also do get this little plug thing, which what you do, you can take this and you can jam that in there like so, and then you got these little, you can't see it, these little holes that you can come around here to Dinobot's hand, and there are little holes underneath there, and you can have him hold it, which, I mean, okay. I'll get into why I don't like this here in a little bit, but basically all you're able to do is hold it like that, which it's kind of strange. But you do have that sort of extra little bit that you can use with this. Now that's something that they do with a lot of these other things. You got these other little pieces. I got stuff sticking to me here. These little pieces here actually allow you to kind of attach other things, and because they're clear, pretend like they're not there. Kind of like this little clear bit here, you could kind of pretend that he was actually holding the golden disc. So, alright, I'll show how to attach these here. It's cool that they included this. It's a nice little touch. I don't honestly care that much about these. What they come in primarily useful for is this display base. Now, one thing that I keep looking at, like with this, you can attach it like that. You can attach it like that. You can configure it however you want, but you got all these different edges. It would have been nice if, like, starting with Primal and going to Cheetor and continuing on with Dinobot and other ones, if they included a bunch of these, so you can make a really big diorama sort of thing with this guy and kind of create a nice floor. Then you can take this, and you got these different little holes that you can, you see these? That goes there, like that. And you can then take this piece, you can angle this down. It's on a little hingey hinge. That's on a little hingey hinge. That's on a little hingey hinge, and you can bring that down here, and you can plug that right in there. You can see you got these little teeth marks that will lock things into place, and then you got this little peg hole right here, which will take and plug into that, like that. And then you can take that and you can plug this here. I mean, I'm not going to show you how to do it, but you can plug that on there, and you can have him jump and run and all that kind of stuff. And it's kind of neat that they included it. Kind of feels like it's a part of the Maximal ship, which is what I like. And then, like I was talking about, you can kind of configure it however you want. I just wish that we had more to create a big diorama, and you could have Dinobot and Primal all standing on something like this. I think that would be pretty darn cool. Now, in addition to that, he does come with his sword. I don't remember this thing being pinkish purple in the show, and that's the color of it. You move it around, you get like maybe a little bit of silverish tones just because it's picking up the reflection of everything else, but that's very purple, and I don't know why it is that purple. I don't remember being, even when you look on the card, that's, if it'll focus, that's silver. That's purple. I don't get it. Okay, it can also store in his tail, which I'll show that off here in a bit, but I'm not a big fan of how they did this. It looks good. It is like the vacuum chrome thing, so I would be very careful about this wearing off over time. It does have some, and then when you do the chrome aspect, you do get ugly bits like that right there. It's kind of ugly on there, and it you know, on regular plastic, I'm trying to look, yeah, and like you got another little blemish right there. When you do it on plastic, it's not so bad, but when you do it on something like this, it sticks out, and it's kind of ugly, and like you got another little notch right there. So definitely not happy with how this turned out. I think it could have been done a lot better. The other cool thing is he comes with multiple faces. What did I do with the other one? Did I drop it? Yep, I dropped it. So you get a total of 4 faces with this guy. One that's already on him, and then 3 additional ones. You can see that this one has the, let me zoom in here. This one here had the clear bit for the light up effect on the eyes. This one here has a red open eye sort of look. This one is a more squint-eyed kind of look with a little bit of a smirk. The mouths on them are all basically the exact same with the exception of this one. But what's really cool is they articulated his mouth. That is amazing. I absolutely love that. That's the coolest thing. And then you can see some really nice teeth in there with some nice silverish paint on there as well. I do kind of like the smirking one though. That one gives a really cool smart alecky kind of look, which Dinobot definitely was. I really like that. But that's cool that they have that added articulation in there. Basically, the faces are all the same. Like I said, you just got some minor differences in terms of like the eyes or the mouth or something like that. And then as I showed you before, you can take this, you can plug this in, and you can create that laser beam effect that Dinobot did have. But for his accessories, that's everything. I guess you could kind of say his tail is also an accessory. I'll show that off here more in a bit when I get to it, but that can become his shield thingy. So let me try and this is going to be difficult to do. There, now just lean him back like that. But for his accessories, that's it. Decent amount. I don't really think that there's anything else that I would have preferred him to come with. I think that he came with pretty much everything that I would hope he would come with. The only real miss, I would say, is his sword, and then the display stand just being basically just his, when it could really be a display base that could create a really good display with all of the upcoming Beast Wars figures. But for the accessories, that's it. And here we have Dinobot. Now, I've never made a secret about this, that I do not really like Beast Wars toys. It's not that I don't like Beast Wars in general. I love the series. I think it's up there with my favorites. The thing that's always bothered me about Beast Wars toys, no matter whether they be the original ones or even these Masterpiece ones, there's a lot of this kind of stuff. Just exposed robot stuff. Now, I understand why that is the case. I know there's not really anything you could do about it. And the engineering that goes into making this, I give them a tremendous amount of credit for. I just don't like the aesthetic. For me, the biggest thing, and as I said, I love the Beast Wars series. The majority of the time, these characters were in their beast mode. So, for me, I feel like they need to nail this. The robot mode is amazing. I'll tell you that right now. It's the best looking aspect of this entire toy. I feel that, at least for me personally, that's backwards. I feel like that the dinosaur mode or the beast mode for these guys should be what is the best looking. And then when you get to that robot mode, if there's some inaccuracies, then I don't mind it. Again, that's a personal preference. Now, a lot of people are going to argue with me, but it's just the way that it is. The way that this figure looks, in terms of what it does have, is really very nice. You can see a great textural detail. I mean, you can feel that kind of scaliness on there. I love how it's all sculpted in there. That's really quite impressive. The paint detail, in terms of the variations with the darker colors and the lighter colors, all look really very nice. The sculpting for this head is amazing. You can open it up. There's actually a little bit. You can make the mouth open, and you can have that be hidden, or you can lift it up a little bit higher. It's a little bit tricky to do, and you can get those top teeth to come out. But don't go too far, because, oh, look, his dentures. And that looks like something that should be from Beetlejuice. So you do have that, which is nice. Ow, that kind of hurts. He does have articulated tongue in there as well, if I can get that going around there. So you do have the little tongue that's there. Great detail with the eyes. There is a swapping gimmick where you can just lift this piece up like so. Then the little spring sort of section. Rotate this around and around and around, and then tuck that back there, and you have a slightly different look to his eyes. It's personal preference what you want. You can have more normal looking eyes, or you can have more like evil reptilian looking ones. I guess it's your personal preference, but I like that. That's a nice little added feature. Great detail with the mouth itself. As I showed you, I like that you can have both of the teeth. It's a little bit tricky to kind of close it, but you can get it looking pretty good. But that head sculpt really is quite amazing. You just lose the illusion when you look at everything else, and that's one of the aspects that really does bug me about the figure. Now in this mode, first articulation, the head is on a swivel at this base joint right down here. Then you have kind of two hinges here and at the base of the neck, so you get a nice range of motion with it. The shoulders here are on butterfly joints, which is nice, so you can bring that in. And then ball joints, are those ball joints or just hinge? Oh no, yeah, they're ball jointed in there, and then they got a hinge outward. You do have a swivel at what would be like the upper part of the bicep, and a hinge at the elbow, but there's nothing else to really rotate other than that, which makes like holding that golden disc a little bit weird. He always has to hold it like I was showing you. Let me bring it in. He always has to hold it kind of like that. I want him to be able to hold it kind of like that, and he really can't unless you rotate that and then do it. But then everything else, you can't really bend everything and make it look natural, which kind of stinks. You do have two hinges here at the wrist, which come in handy mostly for like his transformation, because it's a bit of a pain in the butt. You come down to the legs. When they're transformed like this properly, they're locked into place, which kind of stinks because you get no hip articulation. The knees down here, they can rotate, and then they have a little hinge here, but you can only really rotate it right down there. And then these little knee section, well, that's not even a knee, I don't even know what that is, that's like a lower section, but you can bring this out, but it ends up messing everything up here. So it's kind of, yeah, not a big fan. The ankles do have two joints, so you can get that back up there, so you can kind of pivot that around. The claws here are all individually articulated, which is nice. The little toe sections down here, and then the main Jurassic Park claw can move up and down, so you can have a little tapping kind of recreation. The tail, well, I'll get to the rest here in a bit. The tail can swivel side to side, but creates a weird look for it. Then it does hinge up and down at that joint, and then it does have two joints right here that you can articulate things. If you detach things, you can kind of also plug that in there. So that's not supposed to come out, but I'm gonna leave that up there like so. Problem though is you can't balance this guy very well. A lot of people, and I'm seeing them, a lot of them, the ankles are very weak. They'll either fall forward or they'll fall back. You almost have to put it all the way back. If you want to have it in a kind of natural looking walking pose, you kind of have to spread the legs and get it like that, and then hope that it stays there. You can kind of balance it, and I've seen people that have had worse ankles than mine, but it's definitely not a very sturdy feel. See, like right there, you do have to balance it very, very carefully to get it to work, and he's not going to do it now. I don't know what actually happened, but it's not going to hold the pose right now, and I didn't really do anything. Or you could just lean him back and have him kind of balance on his tail. I honestly don't know what I just did that made him stand and then all of a sudden not want to. It's a lot of balancing, honestly, and you want to have him like this, and he just droops. So these are not as, they're not terribly loose, but there's a lot of weight in this, and you're trying to put it right on that pivot point, and it's just not good. It really could be a lot better. The robot mode's ankles are also a little bit weak, not nearly as bad. He can stand fairly decently, but that is definitely a problem, especially if you don't want to use that display stand. If you use the display stand, you can really kind of balance them perfectly fine, but I don't want to use that display stand. I want to be able to just have him stand there, and he's not going to do it. Now, as I talked about, he does have an additional accessory, that being his little tail. Kind of lift this up, and then you can lift this out. This whole thing kind of detached, and then this just pegs in underneath there. So kind of wiggle that, pull that out. I'm going to set that off to the side. Here's his tail weapon, which is nice. Again, it's kind of it's a weird sort of thing. Kind of come around here to the bottom and split this, although it's not the easiest thing to do. So let's try one of these little bits. Separate that. There we go. Pull that all the way down, and you can then hinge this out. Let's see. Come on. There we go. Lock that into place, and you have his little tail weapon. Again, you can take the sword, you can plug it inside there, and you can fold it back up there, so you do have that weapon storage, much like every other Dinobot, I want to say. But you can do that. You can also drop the sword. You can also take this, you can open this up, and this can fit there as well, as he did use this as a weapon. This bit here does slightly rotate if it's, I'm trying to see here. Oh, well, let me pull this out. Here we go. And then you can have him hold this. You can see that that's a little handheld weapon, and you can, I'm gonna try doing this as best as I can. My fingers are gonna get in the way, but you can spin that around, which is cool, because again, it replicates that original weapon that he had. It's not that great, but at least it does it, which is cool. So I do give them props for that. We're just going to leave this off because we're going to need to take this off for the transformation anyhow. So you just peg all that back together. And again, we're going to set that off to the side just like so. Now, coming to, and then it's completely possible to get him to stand like that, but that really does look crazy. But now going into his transformation, if you already took the tail off, obviously that's step one that you're going to need to do for the transformation. And then when you unlash all that, first you want to lift this piece up just like so, and then take this back section and lift that up as well. Come around to this back section, and you got these little pieces right here that you need to lift up just like so on both sides. Then you want to take these legs and extend them out just like that and bring them up, and they will lock into place. Do that on both of these sides. They detach, rotate up, and lock into place. Come down to these feet. We're going to rotate these out to the side and then take this little section and tuck that down just like so on both of the feet. Fold these little pieces out from the back, creating his heel, and then take these and slide these up just a little on both of the feet, creating a nice seamless line right there. And then you can rotate these around to the back section just like so. Come to the underbelly of them. You want to detach this and pull that away from the body like that. And then this section can be a little bit tricky to see and actually perform, but you got this little bit right here that attaches to the leg. You have to pull that down. It does lock in there very securely. Just give that a nice little pull. It's just pegged in there, but it is a very sturdy peg, and that's what I was talking about, how the legs are locked into position and you really can't articulate them because of this in the dinosaur mode, because those lock things up into position. From here, you want to take his dinosaur head and rotate that all the way around, and you can kind of just put that right there for right now. Come to this front section, kind of pull these bits apart and swivel that out just like that. Come around here to the head. You need to make sure that you lift this, and then this little piece right here, tuck that down and put that back down. That little hole section you create will be needed later on. Now from here, he's kind of just a floppy mess. What you want to do is just kind of like let that whole piece here fall down, and then swivel this all the way around. That will kind of bring the dino head into this little hole area, and then bend right here and fold everything around to this point. You're going to keep that guy's head down there, and this is all going to come around basically to the front like that. So you're going to kind of have him sitting down. When you kind of have him sitting down like this, take these little pieces, you want to tuck those down like that, and then this, you want to fold this down, but also take this, and this will kind of fold underneath. You bring this down and it will kind of reveal fake eyes, then fold that like that, and then collapse this on his chest, and that will, if things aren't in the way, will kind of sit there and kind of tab into the chest area. From this point, you can take his head and rotate that around like so, and then take his legs and straighten them all the way down. One thing you'll notice is that these lower legs are a little bit floppy, so you have to take these and actually collapse these up and lock them into place right like so, and you can see that things kind of started flopping around, but we'll lock everything in there very nicely later on. Come around here to these side bits, fold these down and around like that. Take this entire torso section, rotate this around just like that, and then rotate him here at the knee all the way around just like so. Then come up to these arms, and this is where things are gonna start getting a little bit tricky. You want to take these arms and rotate them around just like that, and then take these sections and extend these down. They're gonna kind of just hinge down there. Probably will come all the way down like that, but just kind of hinge them out like this. Bring this all the way down and then hinge those out just like so. And then these pieces here are going to come down and fit inside this torso area here, which can be a little bit tricky. And some of the problems that people have been having are with the shoulder areas. So definitely be careful when you're playing with it. It can be tricky to do. Just go slow, practice it, and take your time. We're going to take this and hinge this out. So fold this up like that and kind of hinge this whole section in, and you're going to just basically accordion everything inside here and get that lined up just like so. So again, you're going to just hinge all of this in. It's really tricky to see, so do it on this side as well. You got some accordioning that you need to do. Fold this in and kind of just bend that. Get that to accordion down. There we go. And then get that to shift up. There we go. That is definitely tricky to do, and you want to make sure all of this is kind of collapsed in as you're doing it, and kind of leave it like that. Now this little area here will kind of line up with the round section. That's just gonna have to be the best that you can get it for right now. A lot of this stuff will probably detach and come undone. Just kind of leave that there, kind of squeeze that back and in, and then again just kind of make sure that you have that as flush there as you can kind of see. It's lined up pretty decently there. So I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. And this can be a little bit tricky in terms of keeping that lined up, but just kind of hold it there. It helps out a lot. And then you can take this. Now this part does get a little bit strange. These arms, I don't know if I've figured out the right way to do it. So just kind of experiment with it. I kind of feel like this is the easiest way, where it's going to be like that, and just kind of tuck that in, and then you bring these around, and there's an extra hinge here. Kind of keep that out, tuck that in there, and then this, you got a little tab here that lines up with this piece, but it is definitely tricky to do. So be careful as you're doing it. Kind of bring this around. I'm just kind of getting this arm out of the way. I don't like this back section at all. The way that this transforms is really kind of a cluster of different parts bumping into each other and not really feeling like they're supposed to be going in a certain spot, and the instructions are not very clear with these dino arms really at all. So kind of just bring this around as best as you can. Let's see, pull that away, and then just squeeze that in, tab that into place. Kind of bring that down. There you go. I'm gonna cheat a little bit and squeeze that in there on both sides. I mean, I'm definitely, you know, like as I'm doing it, I feel as if it's being crammed in there, and I'm not comfortable with that. So I'm going to stop, kind of look at what I'm doing, see if there's a slightly easier way to be doing this. Keep that all in there. Because you don't want, I mean, these are definitely expensive pieces, and you don't want to do anything to them. So kind of see if that fits a little bit better. There we go. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. All right. There we go. And then bring that whole section down. That's still not really all that secure. I feel like it has something to do with these this back section. So just hinge that. You can bring that down, bring that down on that ratchet, then come to these arms. You want to lift this section, pull these out, then this bit here will slide up a little, rotate that around, all this folds in and around, and then you tuck that up and in like that, fold this piece down, and we're going to rotate these around like that. And then just kind of fiddle with this. I don't think I had that all the way down right. Let's see, there we go. Put that all the way down. That will sit all the way down. You can rotate this just like that. Second arm, do the same basic thing. Going to open this, hinge this out, kind of pull this piece away, rotate that, rotate this, rotate that, collapse that up and in, kind of sit that there, close that little back section, then rotate the arm around, rotate his fist, that popped back up, kind of straighten everything out, make sure that that looks pretty good. And when you're done, finally, there you have DINOBOT in his robot mode. And definitely having, oh, one thing I forgot to mention, take this little bit, fold that down. That'll help stabilize them. But when you're done, there you have them in robot mode. And just like every other Masterpiece Beast Wars figure, the robot mode comes across beautifully. Despite the flaws that he does have in the Beast mode, the robot mode is exceptional and very nicely captures that look in the animation. As you can see, I have him holding his sword. You just open up the fingers, they're all really nicely articulated, and you have a little peg hole here at the base of it that just plugs in to that, and you can have him hold that just like so. And then, as you could see with the golden disc, you use that little adapter again. You put that right on the inside there, and then it's got that little slot that you just kind of friction the disc into, and then you just bring the fingers around, and he holds that fairly decently. It's not a super secure sort of hold, but it does work. But overall, again, really very, very nice looking. To swap out the face, it's very simple to do. You have this little section right here. You just literally just pull that out just like that, and that's where the batteries and everything are installed. And then you have that face, and you can take this one, you can put that on there, which is his little smirk. Again, you just pull that off. You can take the laser eyes, you can put that on there, and that's where that light up feature comes in, and you can have him laser blasting. You can't see, you can have him using Superman's heat vision on him. So lots of different options with it, and I'm really happy with that swap out gimmick. That turned out really very, very nice. But the overall detail still looks really fantastic. The paint detail looks really good. The gold color looks really nice. The copper tone looks nice. You get a lot more of those kind of color variations with the beast mode blended in there. You lift up the arms, and you can see you have kind of a big torso. A lot of his dino mode kind of folds in to him, which works pretty good. I still don't like the way that these arms collapse. There doesn't feel to be a real rhyme or reason to how those are supposed to lock into place or kind of position in there, so you're left kind of guessing with what to do, so that's a little unfortunate, but he does have a little bit thicker of a torso. It's not too terribly bad. Great detail with the hands. You look at the lower section, again, real nice gold color. You got that nice copper color throughout it, and then you come to the legs, and a lot more gold thrown throughout there, kind of replicating the claws, kind of wrapping around his calves and such. Now, I know I didn't really do a comparison in beast mode, and I apologize, but I'm going to bring in a bunch of stuff right now. So, getting him standing there, here we have DINOBOT. And here we have him with a couple different modes and such of other Beast Wars figures. Here you have him next to Masterpiece Optimus Primal. And this one was what really kind of floored me and kind of talked to me about how, while yes, this guy's expensive, I feel like he is worth it because of the size and the accessories. I'll talk about this here as a problem in a second, but just be patient with me. But you can see that the size here is pretty amazing with how big DINOBOT gets when you compare him to Primal. I mean, Primal was a smaller character. All of them were, with the exception of DINOBOT here. So, I mean, that really is quite telling. Now, I don't have him in his robot mode, but you can kind of see beast mode wise how big Masterpiece Cheetor kind of scales with them. And then this is the Generations Rat Trap. For all intent and purposes, a Masterpiece figure in of itself. I mean, they did an amazing job with this guy. I mean, you can get him to stand. I mean, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of really cool stuff that you can use this figure for, even though he's not meant to be a Masterpiece figure. But you can see that the scale, I think, works really nicely. First articulation in this mode, the head here has this hinge, which, I mean, you can kind of push that all the way down and lock it, but then it kind of makes him look like his head is perpetually looking up, which is kind of weird. I kind of just like leave it a little bit loose so that you can kind of emote it a little bit more, but it's on a nice ball joint, so you get a good range of motion with that. The shoulders here are nice ratchet joints that rotate around. You do have this section that does rotate, which comes in handy when you're trying to hide the little gaps and stuff in beast mode, but you can rotate that around and you can have that. It does have a nice ratchet moving in and out just like so. So you don't necessarily need to use this as a ratchet, but you can if you really wanted to. And I have seen people talk about putting like grease on there. I guess you probably could. Mine doesn't feel like it's really all that rough. I think if you're just a little bit careful with the transformation and don't damage it, it'll probably be perfectly fine. He does rotate at the upper part of the bicep. The elbows I don't like because as you bend them, it like moves all this out. This doesn't lock down, so if you held it down, it kind of folds in there nicely, which is cool. I wish this would stay down, which would allow you to do that. As it is, it just detaches. I feel like that's a terrible design. I think they could have done that a lot better. So that's one aspect that I really do not like. It also does have like a little lower elbow joint, so you get a double joint there. The wrists here move forward and back. They also rotate. The fingers are individually articulated at the base knuckle, and then these individual ones down closer to the claws also articulate. Same with the other one, but this is all one piece. So you do just get that hinge at the base knuckle, and then those lower ones, but none are individually articulated. Like, you can't spread them out like that. Come down to the waist section. He does rotate at the waist. The hips move forward and back. They also move in and out a little bit. One thing that I'm noticing, though, is that like the ratchet joints don't seem to be even. So you can kind of see, hopefully you can see it. I can see it when I look at it. This leg here kind of droops down a little bit more, and then when you put it up, so let me kind of get these feet out of the way. So I feel like this leg droops down a little bit more because the ratchet's not in the proper place, and you can really see it when you put it one notch higher. Same kind of thing with this. I mean, obviously that's a little bit higher, but this definitely sits a little bit lower, and that's kind of unfortunate, and you can kind of see that there. So you're kind of fighting with the positioning of them to balance the thighs and such, so that causes problems. And then you can kind of see what's happening with the ankles. Well, he does bend here at the knee. I should show that. Does have a nice bend at the knee. The ankles do rotate, and then they move in and out, but they're also a little bit looser, again, because of how heavy this guy is, and because I feel like the ratchet joints aren't in their proper configuration of where they're supposed to be. Let me keep that there. It feels like he constantly wants to just go one way or the other. You have to balance them just about perfectly, and that's very unfortunate, honestly. I don't like the design here of the ankles. It's just not very sturdy. For the most part, though, he looks the part. He looks really good. He looks very imposing and massive. A very solid looking figure. I just feel like the execution is a little bit off on him, and that's unfortunate. I guess you can kind of do it like that, and he can pretend like he's in Smooth Criminal, and he can like bend like that. I mean, he's got really big front feet. It's just, I feel like the balancing here, because of the ratchet joint, throws him off, and you can see that when you keep him kind of straight, it's kind of leaning. So kind of sucks that that's the case. But oh, does he have an ab crunch? Oh yeah, he does have an ab crunch. If you detach that, you can swivel that down, and he's got an ab crunch. Forgot to mention that. So lots of articulation in him. Posing is pretty good. If you use if you use this piece, you can get him to kind of stand a little bit better on that display stand. It's not that big of a deal for me. You just take this and you plug it here in the back, and then you would plug that into the post to have him stand. So that's how you would do that. It pegs in there very securely, so hard to get that out. All right, it's gonna stay there for now. But overall, a solid figure. If you're a Beast Wars fan or Beast Wars collector in general, this is one that I would definitely recommend. I just don't think that it's as great as everybody is making it out to be. Maybe because I don't have much of an interest in Beast Wars Transformers. It bothers me that the Beast mode isn't as clean as I would like it to be. Bracelet Illusion, like I said, and for me, Masterpiece means that it should have all those elements. So it's a little unfortunate. I think that there's aspects that look really good on them, but there's a lot that I just think leaves a lot to be desired. He's not streamlined enough for me, and I mean, I'm not trying to hate on Takara. I understand the problems inherent in trying to create a beast transformer. It's not an easy task to do. It definitely is a difficult task. But I just don't think that it works. I mean, I know Beast Wars fans are thrilled to be getting these, and I'm glad that they're happy with it. I just don't feel like the same amount of effort is put into this that the original G1 Masterpiece figures kind of get. I don't know if that's because, you know, those original G1 figures are more loved overseas or what. I have no idea. Ultimately, if you're a completionist and you need to have all the Masterpiece figures, this is the one that you're going to want to add to your collection. DINOBOT was an absolute essential character in the Beast Wars mythos and series, and I love the character. He's heroic, he's amazing, he's conflicted, he makes a great character. So I love that. Toy-wise, I don't think he comes across looking that great, especially for me. I like them being in the dinosaur mode. I don't think the dinosaur mode looks really good on any of these. I think Primal was probably the best, mostly because from the front, you didn't really see any robot stuff. Cheetor, you could kind of see some of the robot stuff in the Beast Mode's legs. This guy just has Beast War stuff, or robot stuff, all over him, and it's just all the broken panels, the fact you got this orange color here, and it just, a lot of it is just, the illusion is broken for me, and I can't enjoy it. That's just a personal preference. I'm sure that I'm going to get a lot of people complaining to me saying, well, you didn't transform them right, or whatever the case may be. I mean, I'm 100% sure there are people that are going to complain about this review. And, you know, if you didn't like it, you didn't like it. I apologize. I just don't like the toy really all that much. I think that the robot mode looks the best. The engineering, I feel, is kind of all over the place and a little bit floppy. It is impressive in the fact that he basically turns in on himself and can hide fairly well, but I think that they could do better. But all that being said, if this is a figure that you guys do want to pick up for your collection, he's available right now at Big Bad Toy Store. So all you have to do for that is click on the link down in the video description. You'll go to BBTS where you can check out availability on this guy as well as the rest of the wide range of Transformers Masterpiece figures. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. Remember, if you like this video, or hey, even if you didn't like the video, either way, hit a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Doesn't matter. It all actually does go a long way towards helping me out, and I would really appreciate it. Also, if you're new here, welcome. And before you go, make sure you subscribe in case you haven't already subscribed. That way you'll get instant email notifications whenever I upload a new video, and you'll never miss out on a future review of mine. Or hey, if you're already subscribed, now more than ever, it's important to make sure that you're getting those email notifications. We all know just how unreliable that YouTube subscription box is, and the best way to help support my channel and not miss any future reviews of mine is to click on that little bell right below this video and double check your settings to make sure that they're set so that you get those email notifications. And a very special thanks to you if you made it all the way to the end of this review. Another way that you can really help support my channel is making sure that you watch a video all the way through. And if you did that, thank you. Also, a huge shout out to all of my patrons who through their continued support help to make reviews like this possible. And finally, remember, the real trouble with the world is too many people grow up. Thank you for watching and taking the time to be a kid.